I spent the last 6 months hiding in Tekking's basement and researching One Piece secrets day and night just so I could bring you this video. Okay, not really. But through my research for dozens of other One Piece videos, I came across some absolutely wild secrets and theories, including stuff about the true identity of Luffy's mom, the dark truth about Imusama, the real nature of the One Piece, and more. In this video, I will be sharing the wildest One Piece theories that actually make sense when you think about it. Fair warning, it's gonna get absolutely crazy in here, and the last theory in particular is the most outrageous One Piece theory you will ever hear, I guarantee it. And I'm willing to bet that you've never heard this one before. If you enjoy the One Piece content on our channel and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like and comment, it helps us out a lot. And if you're one of the over 50% of people who watch our videos regularly but still haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, do me a big favor and subscribe right now. Finally, this video will contain One Piece manga spoilers. A lot of these secrets and theories are related to spoilers, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Okay, so even though the recent arcs of the story have given us a lot of answers that we've been searching for years, like for example the true identity of Dr. Vegapunk, there are still quite a few massive mysteries in the One Piece world, and one of the biggest is the identity and current status of Luffy's mom. Some believe that we've already met her in the story, we just don't realize it's her, while others think she's gonna be introduced at a climactic point during the final arc of the story. I'll be real with you guys, some of the most unhinged fan theories center around Luffy's mother. But if you're expecting me to talk about the theory that Luffy's mom is actually gender-bent crocodile, you're wrong. That's just way too popular and mainstream right now. That stuff is for One Piece theory virgins, but this video is for One Piece theory chads. So let's start it off with the theory that Luffy's mother is actually a celestial dragon. And the reason why we still haven't met her is because once the other world nobles found out about her illicit relationship with Luffy's father, she was abducted and taken prisoner somewhere in Marijois. As the theory goes, at some point Luffy's dad, Monkey D. Dragon, met and fell in love with a woman from a family of celestial dragons. We know very little about Dragon's early life, but we do know that Garp wanted both his son and grandson to become Marines. So it is possible that earlier on in life, Dragon was actually a Marine and working for the world government. If that was the case, then it's not crazy to think that he came into contact with a celestial dragon at some point during his career. The meeting could have taken place anywhere, but one possible scenario is that Dragon met Luffy's mother on God Valley. Maybe a young Dragon was one of the Marines fighting under Garp's command on God Valley. And since we know that multiple celestial dragons and their slaves were present there, it's possible that Dragon came into contact with Luffy's mother as he was saving her life from the Rock's pirates. After meeting 38 years ago on God Valley, Dragon and Luffy's mom were able to stay in touch and carry on a relationship in secret. Many years later, Luffy is born, and after that, his mother disappears. Perhaps her secret affair with Dragon was discovered due to her pregnancy, and as soon as she gave birth, she was abducted by the world nobles and imprisoned as punishment for having a relationship with a commoner. This is why we still haven't met Luffy's mother, and this is why both Luffy's dad and grandpa hate the celestial dragons so much, and why Dragon dedicated his entire life to overthrowing them. Now, of course, God Valley in particular may not be related to Luffy's mother at all, or even if it is, maybe Dragon actually saved one of the slaves of the world nobles and she is Luffy's mom. But Luffy's mother being a celestial dragon would answer a lot of questions we still have about Dragon and the D clan. For example, why is Dragon in particular known as the world's worst criminal, seemingly even worse than the Pirate King, Gol D. Roger? Well, we know the celestial dragons put a lot of importance on their bloodline and on the fact that they have the blood of the creators of this world. They see themselves as gods who are clearly superior to common humans, so much so that many of them don't want to breathe the same air as commoners. So, who would be the absolute worst criminal to these people? It would be a commoner who had the audacity to have a child with a celestial dragon, thereby proving that the world nobles are nothing special since their blood can easily be mixed with the blood of commoners. By having a child with a world noble, Monkey D. Dragon would have discredited the entire belief system of the celestial dragons. And to a bunch of egomaniacs with a superiority complex, that is the worst crime imaginable. This could also explain the mysterious secret about his past that Dragon has been keeping from everyone, including his own revolutionary comrades. I mean, if your whole pitch is that we gotta overthrow these evil and corrupt celestial dragons, you're probably not gonna advertise the fact that you're actually in love with one of them. Finally, this could explain that whole thing about the D clan being the natural enemies of the celestial dragons. Because think about it, if Luffy ends up being the one who overthrows the world government at the end of One Piece, and if his mother turns out to be a celestial dragon, then the fact that a single world noble chose to get together with a single member of the D clan led directly to the destruction of the celestial dragons. Now, to be fair, a lot of people think that Luffy's mom is just like dead and that she's never going to play any role in the story. So, according to them, all of the speculation about Luffy's mom is basically pointless. But I tend to think that if she really was dead, Oda would have just made that clear, and then no one would have to be distracted by all this pointless speculation. Since she hasn't been confirmed to be dead, I believe that she will make an appearance sometime before the story ends. And if she is an imprisoned world noble, that would make for a great reveal sometime during the final battle. It would be absolutely epic to see either Luffy or his father or both of them together bringing down the world government and finally rescuing Luffy's mother. But if you think that the theory about Luffy's mom being a celestial dragon is crazy, trust me, it only gets way crazier. The next theory, which is quite popular in the comments of my One Piece theory videos, is that not only is Luffy's mom an important world noble, but she is actually the most important world noble, the secret ruler of the entire world, Imusama. In my own headcanon, Imusama is definitely a woman with Dami Mommy energy, so this theory isn't as far-fetched to me as it might seem to some people. Anyway, let's get back to God Valley. We know that the world nobles who were present on that island at the time of the incident were not just any celestial dragons. They were extremely important members of the world government system. We know that because Rox wanted to overthrow the world government and become the king of the world, and he chose to bet everything on attacking God Valley. We also know that the world government was so desperate to protect these specific celestial dragons that they were even willing to make an alliance with the notorious pirate and wanted criminal Gol D. Roger, something that up to that point was completely unprecedented. So, both the actions of Rox and the actions of the world government suggest that whoever was on God Valley at the time was very important. We're talking either the Gorosei or even Imusama. And the way in which the world government handled the God Valley incident after it happened may suggest that it really was Imusama who was there that day. That's because the world government did everything it could to erase all traces of God Valley and the God Valley incident from history. So much so that it is even dangerous for high-ranking Marines to talk about it, let alone anyone else. The world knows about the Gorosei, so if they were the ones who were threatened on God Valley, would we really need to erase every trace of what happened from history? The one who decides which light is erased from history is none other than Imusama, and as the fate of the kingdom of Lulusia demonstrates, Imu is extremely committed to keeping his or her existence a secret. So, the celestial dragon who was on God Valley may have been Imu in the flesh, and she may have also been the female world noble that Monkey D. Dragon rescued and fell in love with on that day. That is certainly an intriguing proposition, but that seems to raise more questions than it answers. Why would somebody like Imu fall in love with a teenage marine and have a child with him? Why would Dragon dedicate his life to fighting the world government if his beloved actually controls the entire thing? Why would Luffy's mother approve the assassination of her own son at the hands of CP0? Yeah, Imusama being Luffy's mom would be a mind-blowing twist if it turned out to be true, but it is just incredibly unlikely. Thankfully, there is no shortage of crazy theories about Imusama's true identity, and these next ones are even more insane. What if I told you that Rox D. Zebek didn't actually die on God Valley? Not only did he not die, he actually succeeded in achieving his ultimate goal of becoming the king of the world. It's just that no one realizes it yet. That is because Imusama is actually Rox in disguise. He somehow managed to fake his own death on God Valley and then proceeded to seize control of the world government from the shadows. After that, he carefully erased the God Valley incident from history in order to hide the truth about his secret rise to power. Roger and Garp believed that they defeated their old enemy Rocks back on God Valley, but in reality, their old enemy is still alive and well, and he will be the final villain of the story. Blackbeard somehow found out the truth, and then he named his ship the Saber of Zebek as a tribute to the King of the World. Oh, and did you know that Imusama uses a saber as well, just like Zebek? Epic evidence unlocked, theory confirmed. Okay, not really, but since we're already on the topic of Rocks, there's also the theory that Rocks is actually Luffy's other grandpa. I did an entire video talking about this, but essentially, the theory states that Rocks is either the father of Luffy's mother and therefore Luffy's other grandpa, or Rocks is actually Dragon's real father, and that's why the two of them seem to look alike. In the first scenario, after Rocks was killed on God Valley, Garp felt bad for his daughter, so he took her in like he would later take Ace. After he took her in, she fell in love with Garp's son Dragon, and the rest is history. In the second scenario, Garp is not Luffy's paternal grandfather, but his maternal grandfather, the father of Luffy's mother. Garp may have met Dragon during the God Valley incident when Dragon was a teenager, and then after Rocks allegedly died and his crew disbanded, Garp felt bad for Rocks' teenage son and took him in. Dragon then met Garp's daughter, the two of them fell in love, and the rest is history. It's an interesting theory, and it connects Luffy to Rocks in a really unexpected way. But even if this theory was confirmed, we still wouldn't know what actually happened to Luffy's mother. Personally, I'm not too concerned about whether Garp is Luffy's maternal or paternal grandpa. I'm more concerned about where Luffy's mother is right now. But okay, no more Luffy's mom theories. Well, after this one last one. You want to hear a really unhinged Luffy's mom theory? How about the theory that Luffy's dad is actually his mom? Yes, Dragon's big secret that he's hiding even from his comrades is that he is actually a woman. But he asked Ivankov to turn him into a man in order to conceal his true identity from the world government. Or I guess to conceal her true identity? I mean, that would be a pretty great way for a wanted criminal to keep his identity hidden. But then again, we're left with the same problem. If Dragon is Luffy's mom, then who is Luffy's dad? And why does Ivankov's devil fruit continue to be the worst thing to ever happen to One Piece theorists? We are now moving on to another outlandish family-friendly theory, the theory that Blackbeard and Kuzan might actually be brothers, and that they are both the sons of Rocks D. Zebek. We all know the theory that Blackbeard is the orphaned son of Zebek who wants revenge for what happened to his father on God Valley. But there is also a theory that because Blackbeard and Kuzan share some physical characteristics, they may actually be related. They may even be brothers. This might explain why Kuzan decided to join the Blackbeard Pirates, one of the most shocking and baffling decisions in recent One Piece history. Personally, I think that Kuzan is definitely a double agent, but some believe that he's just backing his little bro, Blackbeard. And if Kuzan turned out to be Blackbeard's brother, or even the son of Zebek, then we would have yet another member of the D-Clan in our midst. Maybe that's why we still don't know Kuzan's full name, because his name is actually Rocks D. Kuzan, or Marshall D. Kuzan. This theory is pretty wild, but it's not even close to what comes next. I know I've talked about Imusama already, but I recently saw a theory in the comment sections of one of my One Piece videos that I never even heard of or thought of before. The comment suggests that Imu could actually be Shanks himself. Either Shanks is leading a double life as a notorious pirate and the king of the world, or Shanks has a split personality kinda like Cavendish and Hakuba. Either way, the idea is that Shanks knew full well what the Gomu Gomu no Mi was, and he's been keeping a close eye on Luffy for a very specific reason. He is actually using Luffy for his own ends, and he may even turn out to be the final villain of the entire series. While I appreciate how insane this theory is, I don't think it holds any water. We know that Imu destroyed the kingdom of Lulusia while Shanks was traveling from Wano to Elbaf, so he was definitely not in Marijua at the time. There's also the theory that Mihawk is actually Imu because of the similarity of their eyes, but I don't give much credence to that theory either. One crazy Imu theory that I do like is the theory that he or she may be immortal. and that this same person has been ruling over the world ever since the Void Century. We know that obtaining immortality is possible within the world of One Piece with the help of the Op fruit, as long as its current user is willing to sacrifice him or herself in order to make someone else immortal. It's definitely plausible that one of the previous users sacrificed themselves in order to make Imu immortal many centuries ago. And some even believe that the Gorosei may be immortal as well. But this immortality idea has been around for a while, so it's not even the craziest Imu theory out there. The madness really comes into play with the theory that Imusama may actually be an alien, and that the ancient war from 800 years ago was none other than an alien invasion of Earth. What's that, you say? Who would be insane enough to back a theory like that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I just recently made an entire video on it, and I will link the video down in the description if you want to check it out. I broke the theory down in detail in that video, but here I'll just sum it up very quickly. We know that in the world of One Piece, you can live in space. There was an entire ancient civilization on the moon, and even today, space pirates and Enel live up there. Unlike in our own world, the outer space in the world of One Piece appears to have oxygen and gravity, so it is possible to travel through space just like Enel did with the Arc Maxim, and just like the moon civilization did when they left the moon to resettle on Earth. Now, that globe from Ohara showed us that beyond just the Earth and the moon, other planets and moons seem to exist in that world. So, what if one of those other planets or moons was home to an advanced civilization that decided to invade Earth during the Void Century? Imu was their leader, and he set up shop on top of the Red Line after defeating and overthrowing the former gods of the Red Line, the Lunarians. This space and alien connection is also why the Celestial Dragons call themselves Celestial Dragons, and why they wear spacesuits. Imu and the aliens didn't want the world to know that they were foreigners who came from another planet and then subjugated everyone on this planet against their will, so they decided to erase the truth and create an entirely new history in order to keep the people in line. They proclaimed themselves to be gods of this world, usurping the title once held by the Lunarians, and they erased every mention of their true origins from history. After all, if the peoples of the earth knew that they were being ruled over by alien invaders who were foreigners to this world, then they would be more likely to rebel. But if they thought that they were being ruled over by the rightful gods of this world, then they will be more likely to obey. Joy Boy and the Ancient Kingdom were the Earthlings who fought to repel the alien invasion during the Void Century, but they failed and then they disappeared from history. Maybe the real reason why Imu's face still hasn't been revealed is the fact that Imu clearly looks like an alien, and Oda doesn't want us to know that quite yet. In the full video I made on this theory, I also went on to explain why the One Piece may actually be a comet. So if you're interested in astronomical levels of crazy, just check out the video, link in the description. But as insane as all of this stuff was, and it definitely was insane, the absolutely wildest theory out there is this next one, which I actually came up with myself. Now, of course, I haven't scoured the entire internet, so I can't say that no one mentioned it before me, but I personally haven't seen it anywhere else. If by some chance you have seen it somewhere else, definitely drop me a line below and let me know. This theory states that we, the readers of the One Piece manga, are actually characters in the One Piece story. Does that sound crazy enough for you? Allow me to explain. Oda has spent a lot of time fleshing out different aspects of the power system in One Piece, including of course devil fruits, haki, technological weaponry, and so on. But one ability that has remained a gigantic lingering mystery is the voice of all things. An extremely rare ability to communicate with living creatures and inanimate objects telepathically. Out of the over 1,000 characters in One Piece, there are only 5 known confirmed hearers of the voice of all things. And there is also a rumor that everyone in the Three-Eyed Tribe has the potential to awaken this ability. The voice of all things seems to allow the hearer to understand the deepest thoughts and feelings of a creature or an object. However, no one aside from the few chosen hearers of the voice of all things is able to detect the voice in any way. Knowing Oda, there's definitely going to be a good explanation for the voice of all things. It's not going to be just a random ability that exists and is never explained. This concept has been mentioned again and again since early on in the story, and I think that it's definitely going to play some important role in the conclusion of the manga. Now, I can understand the ability for two living, sentient creatures to communicate telepathically with each other. I mean, it still needs to be explained how exactly this works and why it happens only with these specific individuals, but I can understand it. What I can't understand is the ability of inanimate objects with no sentience to communicate telepathically with living creatures. I mean, in Naruto, you can infuse objects with chakra and then other people can interact with that chakra, but that's not something that's been established in One Piece. So, why are inanimate objects like poneglyphs able to interact on a telepathic level with users of the voice of all things like Roger? When I was 7 years old, I read a book that fascinated me, and one part of the story in particular was so memorable and impactful that I remember it to this day. The book that I am referring to is The Never-Ending Story by Michael Ende. In one scene, the main character of the story is reading a fantasy novel, and as he is reading it, he suddenly realizes that the characters in the book are actually talking about him. One of the characters says that the reader of the fantasy book, Bastian, has been sharing in all of their adventures by reading the book. Just like other readers have been sharing in Bastian's own adventure by reading the very book that I myself was now reading. This was such a crazy breaking of the fourth wall for me as a 7-year-old, and it stuck with me forever. So then, the character from the fantasy book calls out Bastian's name directly, and as he's reading the book, he sees his own name written on the pages of the very book that he is reading. Eventually, he enters this same fantasy world that up to this point he was only reading about. So what does this have to do with One Piece? Well, The Never-Ending Story was extremely popular in the 1980s, and it was especially popular in two countries. Its country of origin, Germany, and Japan. This means that Oda would almost certainly have been exposed to The Never-Ending Story at some point before he wrote One Piece. And I think that the voice of all things may be directly inspired by this book. What if the voice of all things was created by Joy Boy using the power of the Nika fruit, the power of imagination itself? And what if the voice of all things is a way for characters in the story to connect to us, the readers of the One Piece manga? Think about it. We know all the characters because we've been sharing their adventures this entire time. We know about the poneglyphs and all the other mysteries that have been revealed so far. And by the time the story ends, we will know all the mysteries that are yet to be revealed. So, what if tapping into the voice of all things is like breaking the fourth wall? Like tapping into the voice of the readers and all the knowledge that they have and that they will have in the future. The voice of all things transcends time and worlds, and it places us into the One Piece story, albeit in a more indirect way than Bastian in the Never-Ending Story. Roger can hear the voice of the poneglyphs because we, the readers, will eventually learn the truth about all the poneglyphs. And because the voice of all things transcends time and worlds, something that we will know in our own world in the future can be accessed by Roger in his world in the past. In that way, all of us continuing to read One Piece and share the journey of its characters is what helps to literally sustain that world. And so, all of us, the readers, are literally part of the One Piece world. Now, do I think this theory is actually true? No, I think it's way too out there, but it is the single craziest theory that I was able to come up with. Can you guys think of even crazier theories that still kind of make sense? Leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. My favorite insane theory from the comments will get pinned. If you guys enjoyed this crazy One Piece video, leave a quick like and comment. It only takes a second, but it helps me with that YouTube algorithm. And if you're one of the over 50% of people who watch our videos but haven't taken the time to subscribe yet, do me a big favor and make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Subscribing is completely free on YouTube. It only takes a second, but it helps a lot. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!